if you've done an Ayurvedic cleanse before, you probably have done CCFT as part of the cleanse protocol. But CCFT, coriander, cumin, fennel, can be done at any time. It really supports the digestion, so it's just a very gentle way, and it's a really good self-care routine. So I'm going to show you how to make it. So each of the seeds balances out a specific dosha. So when used together, the seeds really balance all of the dosha. So it's generally good for a lot of very common digestive issues, like gas, bloating, any type of indigestion or discomfort after a meal. And it even helps in burning a little bit of fat. This is because the seeds really stimulate the lymphatic system, so it's just a really good way to get everything moving, and it's also a really good way to eliminate toxins. The seeds also aid in the absorptions of nutrients, so it's just a really good tea to incorporate into your routine. So the easiest way to do the tea is if you get a separate jar and put equal parts of the seeds into this jar. So you would take the coriander seeds, and it's best if you can find the seeds. You will for sure find the seeds in the Indian stores, if you have those in your area. Most Asian stores should have them, but also now even like the bigger stores like Whole Foods or any of the supermarkets, they should carry the seeds, although pro tip is that they're usually a lot cheaper at the Indian or Asian store. So if you can do that, that's probably better. So you want to take each of the seeds, equal parts, and just mix them all into one big jar. So this way you'll have it ready, and you just scoop it out when you want to make the tea. So usually for about 2 cups of water, you want to use about half a teaspoon of the seeds. So this spoon measures half a teaspoon, and that should really be enough, unless, you know, if you are doing it during the cleanse and you've been told by the practitioner specifically to do more amount, that should be fine. Drinking this tea will increase your urine output, obviously, because what we want is to eliminate toxins, and urine is one of the ways that we do it. So just as a side note, so you know, especially if you're drinking it throughout the day, you will be probably going to the bathroom a little bit more. So one of there's a step that you can do before you make the tea, you know, if you have the time. And again, this is a lifestyle practice. This is it can also be a sadhana, right? Just like everything else. So you really want to spend some time with this, like maybe 10-15 minutes in the morning. You can make the tea that you're going to drink for the day. So one thing you can do before actually preparing the tea is to dry roast the seeds. So you just want to take a very small pan, and you're going to put the seeds that you'll use. You just put them in there and put them on a low fire. And you want to put them on a low fire because you don't want to overcook the seeds. You don't want to burn them. You just want to heat them up until you start hearing them pop. And it's a very distinct popping. It also will just really bring out the aroma. It increases the potency. So it's a nice, if you can spare the extra 5 minutes, it's worth it to do. And then another thing that I like to do after roasting them is using a mortar and pestle. You don't really want to use a grinder because I don't want powder. I just want to give them like that, an extra crack. So after you roast them, you can put them in the mortar and pestle and then just give it a little bit of a pounding there. So So it's an additional, activation for the spices. So once you do that, you're ready to boil it in water. Now, you can do it the traditional way, which is then just taking these seeds and putting them putting them on the stove in a pot and just let the water boil. And you really should let it boil for about 6 to 7 minutes. Once you do that, you will want to strain the seeds. So just take a normal tea strainer, any kind of strainer that you have that's small enough, and you just want to strain the seeds out and just have the water. Another pro tip is you can also get a flask. This is the flask that I use, and the reason I like it is because it has the little filter built into it. So what I usually do is I put the seeds in directly. So I'll just take the seeds and I'll scoop them in the flask, and then I'll pour the hot water in there. So this is a good solution if you're at an office and your office you have access to hot water. I think that's probably the easiest. As I said, if you make the seeds ahead of time, you can just keep this in the kitchenette or in your desk, whatever's easier, and then you just scoop a little bit. And again, you've heard me say this before about measurements. It's really it doesn't, you can't have too little or too much of it. I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of depends on your own taste buds. The water takes on a little bit of it has like an astringent kind of taste. So just try and see if you want to use more or less of the seeds. So what I usually do is I'll just take a pinch of the seeds and I'll put it in there, pour the hot water. I have my little filter, and then I don't have to worry about straining them. So one thing that you will want to be careful about is that once you boil the water, you don't really want to keep the seeds in the water for too long. It tends to go rancid after only about a few hours. So if this is the method that you're going to use, I suggest that you drink it, pretty much right away. So I will, I'll make one of these about 30 minutes to an hour after a meal, and I'll just sip from it throughout the day. If you are going to make it in the morning, and for the rest of your day, I suggest that you make it the way that the first method, which is you boil the seeds in the water and then you filter them. And maybe you'll want to put them in a thermos or something to take with you. So again, you just want to make sure that you don't really leave the seeds in the water once they've been boiled, because the taste won't last very long without, before it gets a little rancid. So that's pretty much the only other pro tip I have about CCF. Depending on what your digestive irregularity is, you could take each of the seeds alone. But again, the beauty of doing the CCFT and doing the 3 seeds together is that they really round out and balance all the dosha. So just in general, any common digestive disorder can be really helped with the CCFT. So I hope that you are able to enjoy some CCFT, and if you like this video, please forward it to a friend. Thank you.